Hi friends, I'm Sophia. This is my elegant Vogue 1906 sew along one shoulder dress. Hey friends, welcome to the channel Sophia Sews and Play. I'm Sophia. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back and thank you so much for supporting my channel. In this video, I will be showing you how I sewed this dress, how I cut it, and how I stitch each part. I'm going to be showing you so that you can make this dress, because it's the most easiest but the most elegant looking dress for you. So I sewed one for me and one for each one of my daughters. So if you see anything complicated in this, I would say it's a little bit here, but it's really not complicated. I made it complicated for me, but it is not complicated. It's the most easiest and the most prettiest. I don't like to use the word sexy, but it's really, really, really elegant and classy. So let's go check it out. And at the end, I'll show you how both of them fit. I made a black polka dot, and I also made this one. So thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe. We want to get to 800. So we have the both sleeves here, the over layers here, and then because we're going to do it in order. The over layers is always the last one, and then the sleeve is going to be the second part. And then here are the back. Sorry about that. I'm hitting the camera. Not in the camera today. Not now. Because I am sewing and I'm in my comfort zone. So here is the front. Let's get it. Let's get it where you can see it. Here's the front. And here's the back. And I'll show you step by step how I put this together. It's very easy. So friends, what we're going to do in this right now is we're going to be taking off the pins of both of these. Then we're going to put them together. So I'll show you what you have to sew. I mark, before I take this paper off, I mark on the wrong side, on the top, front, or a F. And in the back, I don't write anything. That way I know, okay, which is the front and which is the back. So now we're going to add the back to the front, right side to right side, and we are going to pin the shoulder right here, matching the notches. We pin it. Once we pin it, we're going to stitch this. So let's go ahead and pin it now. If you already are used to muscle memory, you could go ahead and do that. With this outfit, I think I'm already have it because this is my 1, 2, 3, 4. I love this dress so much, and I made this one is going to be for my daughter. So now we're going to stitch. We're going to stitch this. And I'll be back. Now what we're going to do is pin the sides, and then you're going to stitch the sides. We'll be stitching both sides. Okay, so we stitch both sides. We pin. I will be pinning, and then I will be back after I finish sewing. So let me show you here what we're going to do. This is a stretchy fabric. It goes that way and it goes this way. Okay, so we don't need to worry about zip or pinned or anything. If you want to put zip, that's your problem. It does not call for a zipper, but they're so very great to put on, so you don't need all of that. So then we're going to stitch all the way to the end, all the way to the end. All right. Okay, so here is the dress sewed. So we have it sewed to the shoulder and the sides. Now we're going to deal with the sleeves so we can add it on. So the first thing we're going to do with the sleeves, the left sleeves. Here's the left sleeves. We are going to unpin this paper. Then we're going to stitch like base from that little dot to this little dot here. And then we're going to pull it a little bit. I just pull it a little bit, but just keep it based. Then we're going to turn it around like this, pin it here, and we're going to stitch all the way down. But in my case, before I do this, I always make the hem first. So I'll show you so we won't forget. So here I added the base around here, and then I added the hem, so that now I turned it to, here's the hem on the right side. I used the same color fabric. And then this you can sew this with your baby lock, or your serger. I chose to sew it, and then I'll clean up with the serger after. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch from here to here all the way down, and this sleeve will be ready. Then we work on the other one. So now what we're going to do is turn this sleeve right side, and then we are going to put it, let me put this like this. We're going to add it to the sleeve. What's the left? Which one is it? We're going to add it to the left side of the sleeve that has the shoulder. Okay, so we're going to put it inside because the dress is still on the wrong side out and in the right side in. So we're going to add it in here like this. Okay, and then we are going to look for the seam, side seam here, and the side seam of the sleeve. Okay, am I doing this right? Yes. And we are going to pin. I start pinning from the side, from the side seam of the dress to the side seam to the middle seam of the sleeve, and then I'm go looking for the notches. See, that's the notch. That's why when you cut the pattern, you have to also slit that notch, because those are instructions on how to get it straight, and make sure that you cut the pattern, everything the size. If you're going to cut size 12, you cut everything size 12. What I do with the sleeve, you see this seam right here, I turn one this way, and then the other one, I didn't sew all the way up, but then the other one, I sew it to the right, like contrary to each other. There's a word for that, but I don't remember that word right now. And then we go to this notch right here, and we put, I always put the seams and the notches together. Then everything else I add. I usually do this seam here, and what I did, and I forgot to do it, but I'm going to do it now. by putting these two dots that I put together so I can find the center of the top so that I can add it to this seam right here. So I'm going to get a scissors and I'm going to pinch it. Here, I pinch it right here to make my own little notch. And then I add this shoulder stitch. I open that stitch on the top. That's the only one I keep open. And then I pin it. Then if you want, you could pin the rest or you could stitch it. So I'll just put like one pin on each side, and then I'm going to stitch this sleeve together. Do not forget that, because I'm going to emphasize on this because it took me a while. Okay, even though I saw the instructions, I read the instruction, it's still I made a lot of mistakes. For the sleeve, you put the dress or the shirt on the wrong side. Then the sleeves, you put it on the right side. You turn it on the right side inside. So as you can see, it's going to be on the right side when you pull it out. So that way you sew it. But you have to put the sleeve on the right side inside of the right side of the dress or blouse or shirts, whatever. Anyways, I'm going to stitch this now. So here we are, the wings. The sleeve are done, sewed around. See, remember I told you I am sewing on the sewing machine. This fabric is cool, or it's the needle. You have to use a needle that is for stretch. And so after all this is done, then I will clean it with the serger. But here we're going to pull the sleeve out because we already stitched it around. Remember I told you the under sleeve, I put one stitch to the left and the other to the right, whichever way you want it, but it has to go contrary to each other. There's a word for that, but I don't remember it. So now we're going to pull the sleeve out so that now we have it all done. And we are going to turn everything to the right side now, because now we're going to be finishing this dress up on the right side. And let me show you the reason why I put on the underarm, I stitch one side of the stitch to the left and the other one to the right, so that when you turn it around, look at how decent it looks and it's comfortable. Anyways, so there is the sleeve on. Okay, so now we're going to lay this like this, because the rest of this dress, we're going to put it like this because this fabric is a little heavy. This fabric is uniquely great for the winter in Florida, because it'll keep it, you know, sometimes the morning starts cold and then during the day it's going to go down a little bit, so you'll still have your shoulder out there, so, and you still look elegant and all that kind of good stuff. So right now what we are going to do is add the left, which one is it? I get confused here. The right, this is the right sleeve, so we're going to work on this right sleeve right now. So right now we're going to push this dress to the side, and we're going to take all of these pins off, and then what we're going to do is, like I did the first one, I'll put the hem first, sew the hem first, and then I will turn it like this and stitch all the way and finish this sleeve so we can add it to this part. Okay, so we're going to add the back overlay to the front overlay. Let's take it off of this here, matching the notches And we are going to be stitching this side, and this is the side together. All right, on the right side. So what we're going to do right now is add the back to the front. This is the back right here, and this is the front. Remember, I always mark my front, and we're going to add it together like this. Okay, notch to notch. See, this is a notch right here. So we pin the right side to right side, and we pin it all the way. And I sew this a half an inch, or you could do 1/8 of an inch, whichever works for you. But sometimes I don't go by the rules. So here is the other notch for this sleeve. You're not going to sew this. You're just making sure that it is. So don't pin there, because then you'll end up sewing that. That's the sleeve. That's the underarm. So you're going to sew this way, and then this is the side of the cape. You're going to sew this notch by notch. So you're going to pin it, because you are going to sew it. Everywhere that you're going to pin, that's where you're going to sew. So we're going to stitch that way, and we're going to stitch here up the cape. Then we'll be back to put the cape on. Seems like the sun has went away. So with the dress on the right side and the cape or the overlay is on the wrong side, we're going to look for the front. Remember, I add the front, and we're going to put the front and pin it all the way around. Remember, we're going to do it on the wrong side, the overlay on the wrong side, because while the dress is on the right side, because once you finish sewing here, it's going to go this way. You're going to turn it in. But before that, first we sew it on, and then we keep enough room. So after we sew it on, we bend this hem leftovers, so and we stitch it at the edge so that we could put an elastic to around. But I'll show you that after I add the cape. I keep calling it the cape, the overlay. So I am going to go ahead and pin all the way around, and then I'll show you when I'm done before I go to sew it on. Okay, let me explain something before I stitch the overlay to the shoulder, to the neck. We're going to stitch this much, right? To leave at least I'm going to leave at least a half, or a little bit more than a half an inch, because after we stitch this right here, we're going to stitch over here, leaving a nice opening so we can slide a rubber band or an elastic through the shoulder. So when I get there, then I'll show you. But that's why we're going to leave it enough space for us to stitch this, and then stitch up here, leaving an opening for the elastic. I think I repeat myself. So that's what we're going to do with this. So now I've added the overlay, and I sewed it. So I want to show you. You see this, how I sewed it on, right? I left, let's see if you could see this. I left that much so the elastic can go through here, and I'm going to add it through here. And then we are going to turn this around, and it will be all ready. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add the elastic through here, and I'm going to show you what I use to do that. So this right here is the size of the of the elastic according to your size. So this size is a size 12, so size 14, I mean. Is this 14? Yes. So we cut it there, okay? So we are this is the way I do mine. It did the pattern came with its instructions of how long the elastic should be. So what I use, you don't have to do this, but I use this, it's easier for me. I use an embroidery needle, and then I just kind of poke a little hole here, and then I go in like so all the way, and then I get it to go to the other end. Very careful, because like you see how that it'll come through here, and then I make sure that I get it to the end. I have to sew, as you can see, I have to sew a little bit here because I skip, but we'll still continue going around because that could be fixed when I go ahead and do the hem and all that kind of stuff. So we're still going all the way around. Okay. So we're going to go all the way around. So we got to the end, and I have to make sure I'm going to pin this right here so that I can meet to the other end. And we're not going to sew it together, because remember, this is the arm of the other sleeve. Okay, so where's the other end? So here's the other end of the elastic, and we're going to just go around, making sure it doesn't disappear. Go over. Okay, as I stretch, as you can see, I will have to sew this in because I didn't do it. I skipped some, but that's fine. That can be fixed. So we just go all the way around till that end is in there nicely. And let's put this like this so it'll be easier for you to see what we're trying to do here. There. See, this is how it's supposed to be. You see here? This is one side of the arm, and this is the other side of the, what arm is that? That one, that arm keeps messing up. That arm will be the right arm. So this is the right arm right now. So we're making sure that the elastic is nicely proportionate all over. Let's see about here. See right here still. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and fix this now before I finish up, and then I will proportion the elastic and then come back, and we are going to pin the other sleeve here and get this thing done. After we get the sleeve on, then we'll make the M here and the M on the bottom, and this dress is finished. So now we're done stitching all this up. Now this part I'm leaving this in case the person that my daughter needs more space, she can go ahead and loose it, and she'll do whatever she gotta do, or we'll do it again. So this is all done. The elastic is in there. I'm trying to fix it where you could see what I'm going to be doing next. Okay, so here it is done. What I'm going to do now is turn this around so that you could see that this is the way now that we're going to add the other sleeve. So we have to turn this around like this. Okay, and then this is the sleeve right here. This is where we're going to add the sleeve. Remember, left over here, right over here, and so on. Okay, so we're going to pin the sleeve. This right here is to add that sleeve. That sleeve come on the top, and you'll see. So this is what we're going to do with this sleeve right here. We are going to turn it. I remember I always add the hem of my sleeves before I do anything else. And I will have to make a M right here. This M is going to come like so and stop at that little dot, because that dot is going to be meeting with the other dot on the dress. So we're going to do this M, and then we'll add this sleeve on, and then the M, and then the M for the overlay, and the dress is done. But let me go ahead and do this sleeve so we could add it on, pin it on, and then sew it on. Friends, I forgot. Okay. The sleeve, let's see, this is the right sleeves. Before we add it on, it comes with an elastic also. And I forgot that that's where the elastic has to, meet. So the elastic, that's where it's going to be, and we're going to close it in like this and make that space for that elastic to go through here. Then that would be the M. So the elastic is going to go under the hem that you're going to be making for the top. So this is it right here. I really did forget. So what we want to do is make this hem like this. Okay? So that that elastic can roll through in there, just like we did with the overlay. All right, so here we have the rubber in, the elastic. I keep calling it a rubber. The elastic in, and we are going to, in this case, I'll just go ahead and do this like this. Okay, so we are going to pin the underarm first, and I'm going to go, remember, go left, then go right on the dress. That's the stitch, and we're going to match it, and then we are going to pin. Everything is pin, 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 pin. And then we are going to look for the notches. There goes a notch on the sleeve, and there goes a notch on the dress. We match the notch. Notches are very, very important to have, because they give you instructions on how to not sew off the grid. Let's put it that way. And then we look for the other notch, and we pin around. On the inside, I do it. So see this, these two right here, the elastic from the weight, from the shoulder, the neck, and the sleeve, they're going to meet together, and you are going to stitch that notch. I just cut a big notch there, which means because this fabric is stretchy, it just made a big hole, so I might have to stitch like really big to cover up that notch. But that's one of those little boo-boos, that stretching materials. You have to be very careful. So it's already pinned, just a little, just this part right here, but I already knows that this goes here. I might as well do it now. So this one, this side goes here. And we're just going to stitch all the way around. And you're going to see that this is going to meet. This stays open, remember? You will see why, because they this is a one shoulder, so this sleeve here has to stay open in order for that sleeve joined to the shoulder drops, and you will see why. So I made a mistake on my very first one that I made. And that's why I'm emphasizing this. And it's also for me too. So if I forget, I just go back to this video and I remember and I go ahead and do it. Because to tell you the truth, I was looking for sew along on this dress and I couldn't find one. So I thought I need a sew along and I am going to do it because I know maybe my daughter, because I have one daughter that both of them they sew, but um they just don't have the time to just really get into it. So whenever they get into it, they'll try my videos and they'll get their stuff. And if they want, they can go anywhere else they want to. So I'm going to stitch this sleeve and then I'll show you how the finished dress is before I go ahead and I have to cut this a little, put the hem on here and here, and then I'll show you my dress and then I'll show you this one. Hi friends, this is the Vogue pattern 1906 and this is the polka dot ponte fabric that I made this style, which it has this overlay right here, long sleeves and long sleeve and the shoulders. And this is one of them. I made 3 of these, the polka dot, and then I made it with the other one with a knit fabric, which I will be showing you after this one. So what do you think about this dress? This will be my 4th Vogue pattern. So hi friends, this is the 2nd dress that I made from the pattern Vogue 1906, and this time I made it with a cable knit. That's the fabric right here. And this is the model that I made now with this one. And the color is like a very light pastel gold rose. I love this color. And so this is what it looks like. Same concept, the same thing, just that this one, and I noticed that I made this a little longer without considering that I need to lift my hands up. So what I will do is go back and just lift it a little bit and then it'll be fine. But other than that, or maybe I'll just leave it like this, because when I lift my hands up, it'll be like this. So this is the same Vogue with the cable knit fabric. Very elegant and very warm and soft fabric. It feels good for winter back there in Florida. Whenever I go visit Florida, this is what I will be wearing to visit Florida. So what do you think about this?